your brain a little bit about your history. It would be remiss of us not to mention the meltdown in Kona, where you ended up having part of your large intestines removed because, well, you literally melted your insides. Let's not dwell on it, but what I actually want to talk to you about is how you've coped with a big injury like that and then other injuries you've had, you know, in the decade after that as well. How you dealt with it, A, as a professional athlete, because this was your livelihood, but also, you know, in training, what do you do? How do you modify training so that you can eventually get back into where you want to be?
I mean, 97 was, I mean, that's the extreme. So it was, I think the fact that it was so extreme, my first concerns were just getting healthy and being well again. And I mean, I've always taken things pretty lightly, and I mean, I race hard and train hard and do all those things like everyone else, but I still remember the morning of the surgery, waking up, and I wasn't quite sure if I was having surgery at that point. I ran my hand down my stomach and there was a line of 16 staples, and I even had a bit of a laugh to myself. I'm like, what the hell have I done this time? So, I mean, I've always had a bit of a sense of humour about it, and the fact it's everything we do is pretty much self-induced unless you get hit by a car or but that injury, as I said, I just wanted to get healthy, and probably mentally that was the focus. And I was fortunate my first couple of races back were successful, and I think if they'd been failures I would have gone the other direction and be wearing a suit and tie at this point. So I don't know if that'd be worse or better, but no, I was lucky that the first race back was great. Second race back, had another good race, and that just, I guess, built some momentum. And but along the way, like anyone, I've had injuries and issues, but for me the biggest thing now, and I mean, getting a little older, is, I mean, a stitch in time saves 9. And if I get a little niggle, I don't count kilometres anymore. I mean, I write my program down, but I'm not so focused on swimming 25k, riding 700 and running 120. It's not, that's not training to me anymore. And if I feel an injury, and we all know we're susceptible to certain injuries, and I know if I can feel something, I just walk away. And I mean, 2 days off running is just 2 days off running. It doesn't mean anything. So I'm probably just a little more cautious that way, and it's the best way to be. And I think people get given a program from a coach, and they're so structured, not flexible. I think if they miss an 8-kilometre run, then Ironman in 12 weeks' time is going to be all ruined. So I think flexibility, and you've got to be aware what a good and a bad pain is. And just if you can differentiate the two, then it's a start. Then have the confidence just to walk away and be patient, and as I said, stitch in time saves 9.
And do you think it's fair to say from all of that with experience you learn a lot about your body, and that will help you come race day, training days, all that?
Oh, totally. I think experience is, I mean, it's everything, and that's the thing. This sport is attracting so many new people now, and they think the only way there is hard work. And I mean, I don't want to say it's not hard work, it is. I think sometimes coaches, to justify their positions, overcomplicate programs, and it really is just hard work. But at the same time, you've got to realise that a skip session here or there for the right reasons is fine. When it comes to race day, I've had the most perfect preparations and the most disastrous races. And then last weekend, where it's probably more of a mental attitude, where I was really relaxed. I hadn't committed my whole sort of life and heart and soul into the race. I went and had a great race. I was a little more cautious, and that just made for a more consistent day. And I think most people, when they do an Ironman race, are looking for a race experience, and for that, then you don't have to be as aggressive as a professional. Then because of that, you're less likely to make big mistakes and have real major issues. So I think if you're looking for that real positive experience, then just look for consistency and enjoy the process. If you're going to push it, then you've got to be willing and ready to accept the fact there can be consequences on race day, that you've gone out of your limits and your ranges for a while, and you may pay for that down the road. But that's where there's a real big difference in the way you race, but you've got to be mentally prepared for those two different scenarios. And just quickly speaking of experience, you're around the age of about 40, as is quite a few athletes at the moment who are still killing it, your Crowies, your Brownies, your Maccas. You guys were having a bit of a chat, I believe, the other day about you should be entering a Masters series. Paul Amy shut that one down just this morning. He goes, you guys are just trying to justify yourselves. I'm like, I don't know if it's the smartest thing. Maybe we should have moved on years ago, but yeah, I mean, career-wise, it's probably not the best thing, but I think the fact we love what we do, and I think we motivate each other a little bit. We go back to Boulder, and there's Greg Bennett and Richie Cunningham, and Crowe turns up, and Brownie. It is fun. Yeah. And I actually had a real fun time with the young guys in Melbourne, the Fatels and Joey Lamprey and those guys, but I don't even know what they're saying anymore. They talk another language. I mean, I get messages from Josh Amberger, and I'm like, I don't know what he just said. So, no, they're great kids, but it's another generation away. And I think we keep ourselves young by being around those guys, and then but we still like sort of hanging around each other and pushing each other around a bit. So there'll be a time when the Ambergers and the Fatels are laughing at us, but we're having a good time at the moment. And one last take-home message. What advice can you give to those young guys as they're stepping up through the ranks, and they're looking at Kona, they're looking at Vegas, they're looking at, cementing themselves as real contenders in these big events? It's, you got to race hard, you got to train hard. I often say, and I said this to you the other day, it's a real toxic balance. I think the pressure that's put on the athletes, we've all felt that during our careers, and I think we saw the consequence of that on the weekend, where a lot of athletes were pulling out of races, and it's a hard lifestyle. But I think if you're racing for the wrong reasons, and that's the thing, we're all trying to make a living. There's so much pressure just to get a result, to maintain sponsors, or to get a new sponsor. It just doesn't become enjoyable. Yeah. So it's so hard to tell someone to relax and don't worry about that, because the sponsors will come. But if you can get into that headspace, it's perfect. Yeah. And just do what you do or did as a kid when you're 15. And you hope you're doing it at 21 and 24, and then you realise that's all you need to do, is you just need to swim, ride and run really fast, and everything will come to you. But in saying that, it is a very tough environment, and I think we've been lucky to have lived through the generation we have. And sponsorship was great, race support was fantastic, appearance fees, the whole lot, and that doesn't exist anymore. So I do feel sorry for the younger guys and girls. Yeah. It's just not an easy path at the moment. At the top, there's great opportunities. But, you ask for advice, it's just try to get into the right headspace where you just want to swim, ride and run well, and everything will come to you after that. Awesome. For the love of it. Yeah, that's why we're still here. Yep. And as I said, it's I found in my middle phase of my career, you start sort of overanalyzing and making those mistakes, and then you pop out the other side, and it is for the love of the sport, because it's been fantastic to me and very supportive for me and my family, but it's not a sport for the money. Yeah. And I should have taken up football or something. I'd be retired, but I might be a lot better off. Yeah. Or tennis or golf. Exactly. Yeah. So I've got the girls with golf clubs in their hands already. Excellent. Live off the children. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, could sit here all day, but I know that you're a busy man. You're heading back to Boulder, I believe, later this week as well. I've got 12 days left, but heading down the beach now and get some stand-up paddle time. Yeah. That's why you're in a rush to get out the board. One more meeting. I'm not blowing you off for stand-up paddling. So I got another meeting, and then spend some time in Melbourne, and then we head off to Colorado. So it's a fine balance. I love being home, but I saw some pictures of Colorado the other day, and it's not a bad place to end up. Yeah. So we're going to be there until Christmas time. So hopefully get a few good races in. Excellent. Well, all the very best for the rest of the season, and we'll catch you around soon. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.